Hi, it's Lisa. In this video, I'd like to talk about smoothies and added sugar and whether these things are making people fat. So Banana TV did a video just recently about smoothies and whether they're making people fat, and Nicole made some good points in the video, but I wanted to add to that because I did see some comments underneath and not everyone actually agreed with her. Some people do think that smoothies are making people fat, and I've also had conversations with other people on various threads in my videos where we talk about added sugar and whether it's necessary, whether it's desired, and whether it's healthy. So Drew Likes Rice, who I am watching, says, "Gotta disagree. If you overeat on carbs, you will gain fat. It's as simple as that. It is easier to eat more than you usually would when you process your food, such as with smoothies. On top of that, blending, while not the worst thing in the world, separates the fructose from the fiber, and the absorption is very rapid through the stomach, which injures the liver, glycates protein, and injures the endothelial cells. Eat your food whole." There's a few things that I would have to say about that comment, because while he's saying eat your food whole, he also has a video of himself eating 3,700 calories of white rice. And some would argue that that's not a whole food in itself. Like, why doesn't he do that with brown rice? So there's a bit of contradiction there, but at the same time, white rice does have fiber in it. And I think what he's saying is that if you separate fructose from the fiber, that's when you get problems. I did a little Google search about Drew's comment, and I found that Drew got his comment from Dr. Esselstyn's website, from the frequently asked questions part. Dr. Esselstyn is a doctor who wants to reverse heart disease in his patients, and he tells his patients to eat a whole food plant-based diet and to avoid smoothies and to avoid fruit juice. So this is what he says about smoothies. When the fiber is pureed, it is not chewed and it does not have the opportunity to mix with the facultative anaerobic bacteria which reside in the crypts and grooves of our tongue. These bacteria are capable of reducing the nitrates in green leafy vegetables to nitrates in the mouth. When the nitrates are swallowed, they are further reduced by gastric acid to nitric oxide, which may now enter the nitric oxide pool. Furthermore, when chewing fruit, the fructose is bound to fiber and absorption is safe and slow. On the other hand, when fruit is blenderized, the fructose is separated from the fiber and the absorption is very rapid through the stomach. So basically it's a copy and paste kind of comment about the safety of smoothies. And regarding fruit juice, this is what Dr. Esselstyn says: "Drinking fruit juice is like pouring the sugar bowl down your throat. It is fine to eat the whole fruit, do not drink the juice." So these are pretty controversial things to say, and I found another article by Juliana Heaver, who is a plant-based dietitian, and this is what she had to say about the fructose controversy. She says in this article that there is indeed evidence that high intake of fructose may lead to metabolic syndrome, obesity, fatty liver, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia, high blood pressure, and even kidney disease. Fructose is a simple sugar, a monosaccharide. For centuries, fructose was primarily consumed from natural sources like fruits and honey. In the last few decades, a main source for fructose became sugar, aka sucrose, a disaccharide with equal parts fructose and glucose. Additionally, man created high fructose corn syrup in the 1970s, offering up an opportunity for food manufacturers to save money, utilize the excess corn supply, and sweeten processed foods. But just because fructose may be up to no good doesn't mean that the naturally occurring fructose in fruits and vegetables have the same impact as the sucrose and high fructose corn syrup. It is postulated that the evidence pointing to fructose alone as cause for these chronic conditions may not consider excessive calorie intake as a possible confounding variable. It also suggests we need good human trials before we can make conclusions on the metabolic effects of fructose. By the way, the only research on endothelial cell injury that I found was this study that used pure fructose and was performed on rats. So I looked up the study, and this is what the study says. Epidemiologic studies have linked fructose intake with metabolic syndrome, and it was recently reported that fructose induces an inflammatory response in the rat kidney. Consistent with the in vitro studies, dietary intake of fructose at physiologic doses increased both ICAM1 concentration and endothelial ICAM1 expression in the rat kidney. These data suggest that fructose induces inflammatory changes in vascular cells at physiologic concentrations. So I wanted to point out some other studies that I found that may be more relevant for humans. consumption of 100% fruit juice, and risk of obesity and metabolic syndrome. Compared with non-consumers, those who consumed 100% fruit juice were leaner, were more insulin sensitive, and had lower odds of obesity and metabolic syndrome. The association with metabolic syndrome was explained primarily by other lifestyle factors, while the association with obesity remained independent. Experimental studies are needed to determine whether any direct physiologic link exists between consumption of 100% fruit juice and lower risks of obesity and metabolic syndrome. So with fruit juice, you could argue that that's even worse than smoothies, because in fruit juice there's actually hardly any fiber, while in the smoothie at least you do have some fiber, even if it's separated from the fructose through the blending. So you'd think that fruit juice would have a pretty bad effect on your body, but according to this study, people who drank more fruit juice were leaner than those who didn't. And fruit juice isn't something that I consume on a regular basis, but I do have smoothies every second day or every third day. With regards to experimental studies, there is the one study that most of us know about, and that's the Walter Kempner rice diet. And that's not a diet that I promote as a usual diet for most healthy people, but this study just demonstrates that people can eat rice, fruit juice, and even refined sugar and still reverse diabetes and obesity. And some people might argue that, well, these people were obese and they were eating less calories than they needed, so that's why they lost weight. But even in the context of a low-fat vegan diet like how most of us are eating, it's really hard to overconsume carbs. Whenever people are gaining weight from a high-carb vegan diet, it's either to do with calorie restriction in the past, or they are really overeating and forcing the food down, and they are eating probably more than 10 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight a day, and combine that with a sedentary lifestyle. Of course, you're going to gain weight eating that way without exercise and without getting enough sleep. But in reality, when you eat more carbs, you tend to have more energy. It might not be the same for everyone, and you probably have to experiment with yourself and do something long-term for you to really know the results of what a diet is doing to your body and what smoothies are doing or what added sugar is doing. It's really up to the individual whether they enjoy making smoothies and whether it will help them to stay healthy. I would rather that people enjoy their food and make a smoothie and just eat more fruit and veggies through a smoothie than to not have it at all. And some people would say, oh, well, why don't we just eat them whole? And I say, yes, go ahead and eat them whole, but then don't be afraid to make a smoothie if you want to. So Banana TV replied to that comment and said, what I'm saying here is that to overeat on fruit is extremely hard for the average person, even with blending. People don't need to fear smoothies or fruit. They need to be conscious of what they eat in their day-to-day. That's something that I agree with, because even when I blend up smoothies, yes, I do tend to consume a bit more than I would if it was whole, but it's not a whole lot more. It kind of just takes a little bit shorter for me to consume a smoothie than if I was to eat it whole, but it's not a great difference. And I find that even when I add sugar or really high sugar fruits like dates to my smoothie, after I eat the smoothie, I'm very satiated, not just with my stomach, but also because of all the carbohydrates that I've eaten. I feel like I am satisfied and I don't require another meal for at least 4 hours. So today I had for breakfast a banana smoothie and I added coconut sugar to it. It hasn't made me fat. I eat around 2,300 calories a day, and according to online calculators, I should, for someone my weight and age and gender, I should be eating about 1,800 calories a day, but I'm eating 500 more calories each day than they say, and I'm still lean. And so yeah, I'm proof. Look at your own diet, look at your lifestyle, and see, are there any other factors that are promoting obesity or promoting your diabetes? It's not like just sugar. I hope that this video was helpful, and feel free to comment, let me know your thoughts on or your experience on eating smoothies or drinking juice or adding sugar. See you in my next video. Bye.